Hello and welcome to episode 69 of When the Flames Go Up, the ATSC podcast. This week is a bog standard. It's a 4-4-2. It's Carlisle away. It's a look ahead to Hartlepool. And a look ahead a little bit more because we won't be recording next week because we've got a Wednesday game. So unfortunately, we'll have to wait a couple of weeks to catch up on all things the shots then. We have Guy and a new guest, CJ, all the way from New Zealand, to discuss those things about the shots. And we also have time at the end to play a little quiz, the higher or lower game, which uh, was was plenty on the train up from London to Carlisle at the weekend to um, keep us infused about to be honest, mostly the 2015-16 season, as will become clear. But play along at home and let us know how you get on. Would you have beat both CJ and Guy in the higher or lower quiz that you'll find at the end? We didn't get round during the record, but just want to mention the women's team. They had a 7-1 away win at Hythe and Dibden with seven different scorers. Joking, aren't you? It's very older shot, very older shot. So glad that trademark is pending. And also to mention that their first game at the Rec is going to be on Sunday, the 5th of October, against Widbrook United Women. So get down if you're around. Grant, that's all left to mention. Enjoy the episode and up the shots. Okay, so the shots went to Carlisle at the weekend and came away with a 2-0 defeat. Goals from Regan Linney and Mugabe in the second half was enough to give Carlisle the win and keep them in the race near the top of the table. Shots, however, slipped down into 16th position. It seems like our happy resting place, about 16th, 17th, 18th most seasons. And the Shots failed to score for the first time this season on their ninth game of the season. Before we get into talking about that game specifically, we've got a new person on the podcast, CJ, coming all the way from New Zealand. Tell us what time it is over there and give us a bit of background about your shot supporting.
Hi mate, yeah, so thanks for having me on. So it's 6:06 a.m. in the morning here. I've been supporting shots since probably about 5, 6 years old. Funnily enough, my first game was at the Rec, but it wasn't an Aldershot game. It was West Ham versus Chelsea reserves, I think, at the time. And I absolutely love football. My passion's football. I work in football, but I left at half time. I went with my granddad. I was cold, I was tired, and I was hungry, and I didn't appreciate what footballers were on the pitch at the time either. There was some star-studded performance. Looking back on the program when my granddad checked back, and all I wanted was some saveloy chips from the chip shop. And then we look back, and I think Lampard might have been on the card. I think Di Canio was coming back from an injury. I think Terry might have been coming through at the time. So we look back, and yeah, it was a star-studded lineup and I was not interested. I wanted to go at half time. I was cold, I was tired, and hungry. So it's always a running joke in the family. But as an Aldershot fan, I've pretty much been to every season since then. I think I was a mascot at Jason Chewin's testimonial. Um, so yeah, I've seen it all, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Almost. I'm 28, so I've probably seen more good than bad compared to most people. But yeah, it's a stressful time being an Aldershot fan at any period, I guess.
Nice. Yeah, I forgot about that. Those Chelsea reserve games. I'm sure there's one where Michael Ballack was playing down there, and there's a great picture of him in like a Tuesday night, like foggy, and he's just coming back from injury, trotting around. Um, so yeah, I mean, I was 5 minutes down the road, could have popped along and didn't. Um,
I think it was freezing cold the night I went. I just remember like fog being on the pitch, and it was like really cold Tuesday night or something like that. And yeah, I was not having any of it, and I wanted to go home.
Love that, love the dedication, and just to make sure we've got it on record, a 3 o'clock kickoff for you catching it in New Zealand is what time?
It's 2 a.m. on a Sunday morning. So yeah, strong dedication. I prefer the later kickoffs now.
Yes, well, that's it. Yeah, you know, struggle for Forest Green at home. That's going to be a real tough
Yeah.
one. Bank some sleep earlier in the week. Grand. Well, let's start talking about that Carlisle game at the weekend. So as I mentioned earlier, Regan Linney opened the scoring. That's his eighth goal in 9 league games to take him to the top of the goal scorer charts. Yeah, shots were basically in the game for much of it. And if you look at the highlights, you'd say maybe on balance, on another day, we win 3-2. And in this one, we've ended up losing 2-0. CJ, how did you see it from your side on the performance of the shots and Carlisle's quality, I guess?
Yeah, I thought for a performance from us so far from this season, I think it was really flat. I think if you look at how we've played in every game, it's electric. Five, six, seven, eight chances before half time. I think we barely created five, six, seven, eight chances the whole game. I think the two, three good chances we had, obviously Kwame had a really good chance. Ryan Hill had a very good chance. Put them in the net and you go, oh, here we go. But I think, like I said earlier in the week in the chat, I was like, I think we've rode our luck in recent weeks with some of the chances we've had. Obviously, you look at Truro away and stuff like that with the late penalty. So I think it sort of balanced itself out a little bit. I don't think we deserved anything from that game. Carlisle are probably the best side we've played so far this season. Linney absolutely bullied us at the back. I think Nightingale was a big miss. I think he would have probably dealt with that a little bit more. I think mere holes in the central defence was interesting. Considering what we have available, it's probably one of the better options. But yeah, I think overall, I think 2-0 is probably a fair result. I think it speaks highly of the league that, or in our standards, that we were competitive for most. We did create chances, and I think that's something that we're always going to do with the players that we got going forward.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it felt like their squad and their starting 11. I mean, it's already a bit ominous, and with our kind of two or three positions not quite at their highest point, like you mentioned, Nightingale. I thought Mayhell's he looked comfortable. He's so comfortable on the ball. It reminds me a bit of Kean Harris. He looks like he's got so much more time on the ball. But unfortunately, when you're being hassled and harried by Luke Armstrong and Regan Nerney, you are prone to looking like a fish out of water. And not sure you can squarely blame him for the goal, the first goal, which obviously comes right after the half time, which is the most frustrating thing to watch when you've battled to stay in a game against a team that are probably going to finish in the top two of the league, and then you come out and two players get immediately pulled out of position, and Regan and he just runs through and scores. Probably is one of his easiest goals that he'll have this season. Guy, come to you. Your impressions from Carlisle at the weekend.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really think. I mean, I'm going to take issue with CJ because I don't actually think we were really that much in it. I think we were pretty much on the back foot, pretty much from the off. And I think we also set ourselves up for that because our instead of having a 3-4-3, which we've played with all season, we went for a 4-3-2-1. So we really, padded ourselves up out at the back, which actually did help. I think it kept the scoreline down because I mean, when you look at the sort of the actual statistics, I mean, okay, we had 50%, Carlisle had 50%, which surprised me. But then when you look at the number of attempts that Carlisle had on goal, it was 21, with 9 of them on target, whereas we only made 7 attempts and 2 on target. So, I think actually it was probably a fair result. I don't think I mean, we talked, I think, in the group chat earlier in the week about maybe things might have turned had Kwame's shot gone in. But I think honestly, we were very much on the back foot from the start. Looking at those 2 goals as well, I was revisiting them again, and Meerhold stays on his player pretty much all the way down that side. If anyone's to blame, it's probably Claridge who pretty much let Linney get goal side of him and then was basically playing catch up. But I think it's actually a little bit unfair to lay too much blame. I think overall, we got bodies behind the ball most of the attempts that Carlisle came forward. And as for the second goal, the Mugabe goal, which was from a semi-cleared corner, I mean, he basically pulled, stepped back to provide, give himself space. So I don't think really, Aldershot players were really to blame for any of this. I mean, when you think about some of the goals we've given away earlier in the season in the first few weeks, those were sloppy. I don't think these two were. And then of course I also think we should also mention Dewhurst pulled out a couple of brilliant saves in the first half. He was keeping us in it. Really frustrating that we just conceded on minute 46 or 47, whenever it was. I mean, we've conceded about 3 or 4 of these goals straight after half time, which makes me wonder, what it must have been like in the dressing room when you probably have your team talk and then you go out and then suddenly you're one down after all of that. So the other person I want to mention besides Dewhurst was Penman, who managed to pull that, save off the line. I don't know if you recall it in the second half, and that was while we were still one down. So I think there was real effort by the team. It's just unfortunate. I just didn't think we were going to get much from it. But of course, that said as well, one other thing I would add to this is that last year, and I think this is the year before, we did have a tendency to play pretty well against the teams further up the table. There seemed to be sort of something about Aldershot that we pulled it out against the stronger sides, and against the weaker sides towards the bottom, we struggled. If you then look over the last few games that we've had, we've not been playing sort of spectacular teams. Carlisle's the first real test we've had, and we really, we defended, but we never really looked like scoring. And it's a shame because we've lost that. It's what, the ninth game, and first game we don't score in. So there you go.
Yeah, I mean, I think. Wait, I think you mentioned that we played 4 at the back. There was a 5, a definite 5. That is best the same setup as before with Penman left. Was he left centre back? Oh God, I can't remember. Right centre back.
Yeah, it
I'm
was
looking at
Penman
it.
centre back. Then it was Claridge right centre back, Mearholes in the middle.
That's it. Yeah, yeah. So Penman makes that brilliant hook off the line clearance that
Mm.
Kai mentioned. That was class. I had to watch that a couple of times to realise how he'd done it. I thought he came off the post from the first watch and in person as well. Um, yeah, and yeah, as you mentioned, Dewhurst save that first save from Regan Linney when he breaks past he breaks past Ryan Hill, and I mean for all the world he shifts it to bend it top bins, and somehow Dewhurst gets a finger on it to get it away. And there's another one from Regan Linney as well in the first half. So those are 2 great saves. But then, I mean, Breeze for them makes a brilliant save. No, not it wasn't the keeper that made that save. It was their defender, number 4, who got on the same
Yeah,
train as us on the way back home. Yeah, brilliant, brilliant block. I think it was quite weird looking at the Hugo's post match. He seemed to say, "Well, I thought it was handball." I was like, "Well, maybe just say I'll wait for the replay because it hits his near arm, like right next to his body. Never handball." Um, yeah. Any other business from Carlo other than I've got to mention the away end. 158 Ultra fans up there, um, along probably I mean, it's the worst away terrace that I've stood on, and I've stood on Dorking and Boreham Woods terracing because what they've done is basically it looks nice. It looks nice on the TV, um, but there's only 2 steps that you're allowed to stand on. If you go up to the barrier, you're not allowed because apparently all of the advertising hoardings are too sharp. So, which is just woeful. If it's not ready to be used, then don't put us there. It's just, yeah, very galling when you look to the left and see a half empty stand that could have been used for us and shield us from the rain.
Yeah, I wanted to ask because I noticed watching it on, I mean, from the comfort of my sofa, when I looking at you guys, and I was trying to look for you as well, Will. I was looking for the flag to see whether I could find you and the crowd. But the thing I also noticed as well is that that stand, which was to the left of you guys, seems to go beyond the pitch a little bit as well, which sort of begged the question. I mean, that's why it sits there empty, I assume. But it would have been an odd place to be sitting because you'd be right, not even out pitch side. You'd be sort of behind the away end. And I did feel sorry for you guys, particularly at the start when it was just chucking it down and there seemed to be no cover for you guys at all.
No, yeah, that stand I think was obviously it's one of their newer stands, so I think they put it there in the hope that they would maybe move things, so they would build around that stand, but I
Hmm.
don't think they were able to, so they've just stayed. But the picture stayed where it is, and the stand just kind of overlaps, which is quite
Mm.
fun. But there's no
Can
reason can't use it. I think they have used that before, and if they were going to sell out the ground, they would use it, but um, no cover, no alcohol in the away end. I mean, they allowed umbrellas in. I mean, that's a positive because it was needed. Although actually, an umbrella was pointless if you wanted to watch the game because it was horizontal rain, so you needed to kind of put the umbrella in front of your face to shield yourself. Um, but anyway, I mean, I had a great day out. I mean, I wasn't expecting Oldshot to do something mad. There's always that hope that they might do an Oldham and soak up pressure, or Barrett could do something wild. But yeah, unfortunately, wasn't this time. Um,
can I just say one other thing about Carlisle's shirts? I mean, that was quite an eyesore. It's watching that.
yeah, the
It felt
uh, the
felt like
commentator
watching.
called it
It
called
was
it
like watching
deck
10
chair.
Union Jack. Well, yeah, but it almost felt like 10 Union Jacks running around the pitch.
Yeah, wow, blimey, what a day to pick to do it. Yeah, it's yeah. Oh yeah. Also, I mean, you obviously heard the commentators of the whole game, but I
Oh
mean, I
my God,
just
what
watched the
a terrible
highlights.
player. Oh, both of them were absolutely hideous to listen to.
Yeah,
Like, the whole game was just absolutely intolerable at times.
it was
Like,
very odd. Yeah.
yeah, it was like you go from like Rob, who is like, he has his moments of being biased, but there is a general consensus, like, he is balanced. But like, obviously, he, like, cheers and stuff when we score late goals or whatever like that. But that's natural. But with them, it was just constant. Carlisle this, Carlisle that. Oh, shut up! It was so droll to listen to.
Yeah.
I think one of the big positives for me from the game though was Ryan Jones. I think him coming back in, I thought he was very good when he came on. Even they were commentating, like the commentators were actually quite complimentary on him and Dewhurst. In fairness, like the one was, they kept saying, "Is Dewhurst available?" and stuff like that, and like, "Is he on loan?" And I was like, "Mate," and the guy was like, "No, he's under contract," and he's like, "Oh, that's a shame." I was like,
Bizarre. Yeah, the one I mean, I can't believe how he's described Mugabe's goal. He's genuinely like he's screaming like he says, "What a goal for this goal!" And admittedly, it's a nice finish. Well done. He's described it as if he's done like some sort of 360 pirouette and volleyed it in the top corner. All he's done is he's like passed it into the bottom corner. It's not a good. It's not what a goal. It's good finish from a centre back. It's not.
Hmm.
He was.
Then I think it was also they were very much very critical of the referee. They couldn't stop going on about how awful the referee the job he was doing. I thought he was doing an all right one actually. To be fair, I mean maybe it's not easy for referees anyway, but it wasn't like he was particularly egregious in his decisions or so I don't. It was a little bit too, as CJ said, a bit too much. I mean, there is trying to find a balance, but there's also, because you've got to keep in mind it's not just your fans that are listening in, right? I mean, now that these the these radio commentaries go on out on DAZN, you should make an effort to at least be a little bit more objective. I'm not asking you to complete, because I've even sort of gone when we listen to other ones, you will always have a slight bias towards the home team, but with Carlisle it was just too much.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, I thought the referee was giving some very strange decisions our way in the second half, and well, it just made me think. I tell you what, if we get a goal here, like the crowd's already on the ref's back. If we get a goal, the place will go absolutely silent. Um, but it didn't happen that way. It was to be I mean, I know I had a gripe about the away end, but it's quite a special thing in non-league to have three sides of a ground singing the same song. It was probably the loudest place I've been to watching Aldershot since Tranmere in the playoff semis, which again was three stands all sing the same song. It was pretty yeah, pretty good to see. And also in the second half, the sun came out and it's actually quite nice this afternoon. Um, it was a nice afternoon for me, but
Mm,
not for
yeah.
Aldershot, who come away with no points.
But at least we've got the distant games done now, right? You know, whether it's Truro, whether it's Carlisle, Gateshead, we've got the really distant games out of the way. So they have to come to us now.
Yes, bring it on. And we've got Halifax and Scunthorpe in the next few weeks as well. They're even tick those off, and then we're just not going north of Banbury. Um, great. Right, let's move on to what we got coming up. We have got Hartlepool at home on the weekend. Hartlepool had a barnstorming start to the season, won the first three games to nil, looking good. They've now gone 5 games without a win, so they're sitting in eighth. Um, so we've played the second highest scoring team at the weekend at Carlisle. We now face the lowest scorers in the top half. They've only scored 9, and quite a few of those were in the first three games, to be honest. So yeah, the what's the word? I was going to say the contradiction. No, it's not that word. Whatever the word is, they've got the best defense in the league. They've only conceded 3 goals in 9 games. Alex Reid has scored 3 of their 9, and they've signed Verdane Oliver to try and score some more goals. I think. The only thing I've written down is Simon Grayson is in the dugout, and can't remember if he was. I think he was there last year. No, no, I can't remember if it was Kevin Phillips. Anyway, he's there now. Guy, I'll come to you first. What are your thoughts on Hartlepool at home at the weekend?
Well, I had a quick look at the odds before coming onto the podcast, and it seems that Hartlepool are slight favourites over us, although the odds are shortening, and that Aldershot's odds are sort of drifting somewhat, as well as for a draw. So we are the slight outsiders on this, despite what you were saying about them being 5 games winless, 2 draws and a loss in the last three. Um, you know, also but they do seem to have strength in defense. I mean, they've had 6 clean sheets this season, so that's something we need to keep an eye out for, given that we are perhaps the most prolific scorers in the league, at least until last weekend. In terms of their players, you mentioned sort of the top scorers, but the other players which seem to be, I guess sort of if you were to look at efficiency in terms of the amount of time they spend on the pitch versus goals that they're either scoring themselves or contributing towards in the form of assists. Players that we should be looking out for this weekend would include Daly and Charman, although they are further down the efficiency league table, if you want to call it that, than our players like Hadi Gandor and Barrett. So it is an interesting question as to where their goals are going to come from. Since I'm trying to make sense of the bookies saying that we're not, that they're leaning more towards Hartlepool, and yet on the other hand, they don't seem to be doing quite so well at the moment. So if there was a team for the taking, I think it would actually be this one.
Stuff. Yeah, it seems from looking from the outside in, looking on paper, that they've got loads of attacking options, but obviously just can't seem to find the formula especially in the last 5 games to actually score. But yeah, six clean sheets is wild already. I wonder if we'll get 6 in a season at Aldershot. That'll be a nice little ticket to keep an eye on. CJ, I'll come to you on your thoughts ahead of Saturday.
Yeah, I think if I'm looking at it from a management perspective, I look at the next three and I go, these are the like winnable games. I really look at it and go, like, there's no reason for us not to go and do it. The way we've been playing recent weeks, I think Carlisle was a little bit of a blip, and I think you sort of heard that in Hugo's interview after the game, that it was just a little blip. It's the only time we haven't scored, and we're playing one of the best teams in the league. So, and then obviously, as you mentioned with Simon Grayson, like you look at the league now and you've got Robbie Savage, Simon Grayson, and Mark Hughes. Like you, like it's not exactly the conference anymore, is it? As we know it, it's not dog and duck. It's like we're talking about experienced top level people now. Like it's actually incredible to look around. He's like, and then you could probably chuck Tommy Woodrington in that case as well as another ex top player. So I think looking at Hartlepool, I think it's guaranteed both teams to score and over 2.5 goals. I think if you're a betting person, I think you'll definitely go that way with it. I just think there's no other result to us other than win really. I think you look at home, the atmosphere is going to be generated now. The supporters are going to be behind them. The East Bank's going to be rocking. I just really think it's going to be full throttle against Hartlepool.
Yeah, you've got no reason not to attack them. With the record that they've got. I did just see when you were listing those, I thought I'd check Stuart Maynard because he sounds like he should be a good footballer. He is a good footballer, I'm not saying that. But yeah, 65 appearances for Aylesbury United between 2000 and 2002 was his biggest stint. It just feels like he should have been a Watford player at some point with Stuart Maynard, but alas, he's not. Oh no, wait, hold on, he started there. I've just read that. Sorry. Um, Grand. Okay. What else we got on Hartlepool? I can't remember if I wrote anything down. But yeah, as you mentioned, we've got what two in a row coming up. We've got Yeovil on the following Wednesday, and then Braintree the following midweek. So there's three home games the next four, um, which which is a crucial period, I think, for the shots. We've had one home win, which was against Morecambe, which is still looking like a gimme win for a lot of teams um, when they're playing them at home. So how I guess not how important, but how important is this little period? I'm going to say, Guy, for the rest of our season. We're obviously approaching 10 games in. Is this going to potentially define our season?
I mean, define, I think, would not probably too early in the season for that. I mean, normally we talk about this around Christmas time, the start of the year, when sort of the fixtures are piling up and injuries are starting to come. But you're right. I mean, I would actually agree with CJ on this that the next few games, have the potential for us to actually be able to get points on the board, get a few wins. I've talked about Hartlepool as struggling a bit. We've seen Halifax also is there amongst the four games that we've got coming up. Braintree, their form is very poor as well. They've lost three on the spin. Although by the time we come to play them, things might have turned around a bit. But I'm feeling that right now, there is an opportunity for us. I mean, if we take for example, Halifax. I was checking sort of the media that's up there around the football club, and the mood there is somewhat frustrated. The manager Adam Lakeland has been talking about how they felt that they should have. They came back from 2-0 down against Eastleigh to get a 2-2 draw at the weekend, but they felt that something's lacking there. They also lost to Southend 3-0, and they sort of pretty much gave up too easily. They're sort of a little bit like us. They're sort of leaking goals. So there's potential for us. And like the Hartlepool team, not that efficient in terms of their players converting playing time into goals and assists. Of all of them, I think perhaps one we probably do need to keep an eye on would perhaps be Yeovil, though, which, as you said, is the midweek game next week. Because I mean, yes, okay, they're actually sort of on a bit of an up compared to the other three teams that we're going to be facing. They did lose sack their manager a few weeks back. They've brought in Danny Webb, and so as a result, there seems to have been a little bit of a bounce in terms of how the team's playing compared to previously. So that's one for us to that could be a banana skin for us. It's one that I think we could either be rolled over by them, or maybe this is the one where we stop their momentum. But I think all of these games are winnable. I mean, compared to Carlisle, I think actually this is where we should be starting to pick up points. But I take issue with you again on what you said at the very start. Is this going to make or break our season? Not yet.
Got to add in, will it define a season earlier on? I just think if we don't get a win out of these three home games, I would say that's that puts us in a horrendous position. We need to be looking at a game, at least 2 wins out of these 3 home games. I think if we're going to have a positive, forward-thinking top half finish this season. CJ, what do you reckon? What's a I guess a realistic return? I've said 2 wins minimum, but what do you reckon for those especially those 3 home games: Hartlepool, Yeovil, and Braintree?
I mean, Hartlepool, Yeovil, and Braintree for me, that's maximum points. Like realistically, if you're looking at it, it has to be maximum points. Like I think Yeovil, like you said, is the banana skin in there with the new manager bounce. Um, but again, like you look at our forward play, like it has been sensational at times this season. Like we have the ability to absolutely turn teams over, and like obviously at Carlisle we didn't really show it, and it was probably more frustration than anything as an Aldershot fan watching that game. Is that you look at Solihull, you look at the Morecambe game, obviously lesser teams, but we turned them over quite comfortably, and we took our chances. And all it needs is Barrett to find one in the top corner, and all of a sudden the East Bank's going to be lifted, and it or Barrett to do some sort of little magical turn or flick, or Ryan Hill to do similar, and all of a sudden the ground's going to be absolutely bouncing, and the players are going to be right up for it. I think there's no reason for them in the next 3 games to be right up for it. Like realistically, like these, I can imagine Tommy. He'll be looking at these next 3, going, "This is our chance to really kick on." And like you said, it's not a season-defining moment, but it could have a good impact towards Christmas. Like as many points as you can have before Christmas is the ideal scenario, isn't it? Really, and then Christmas, and then obviously turnover, Woking and stuff. Like you're laughing, aren't you? Normally, anyway.
Obviously winning the kind of fourth qualifying round of the FA Cup. It'll all be coming up. Yeah, by mid October, start of November.
Welcome to Higher or Lower.
Well, I think we've got time for higher or lower. I think we've got time. It's only going to be very quick. So higher or lower, it's going to make sense as immediately as we start. I've gone into the annals of Aldershot's history and possibly got some of the stats wrong, but I've made sure there's a kind of a bit of a gap between them. You're going to have two goes each. I haven't got a coin with me, so I'm gonna flip this. It's initiative side and blank side. Guy, can you call as it flies?
Yeah, give me the number. Number. I mean, sorry, the yeah.
Give you a number. It's
No,
not a
no.
number.
I mean, the text. Give me the text.
Text did not win. It was blank. So CJ will go first. Right. So I'm going to give you a shots player. I'm going to give you the season that they played, just for a bit of context, how many appearances. And then for this week, we're going to go for higher or lower on goals scored for Aldershot. League goals. So just bear that in mind. Okay. The first one up is Richard Brodie, your friend of mine. He was in the 2015-16 season. He made 22 appearances, which absolutely blew my mind. I can't remember many of those. And he scored 5 goals for Aldershot Town. Can you even believe it? So, CJ, your higher or lower is Tyler Corden. He was obviously with us in the 2022-23 season. He made 45 appearances in that season. Did he score more or less than 5?
Yeah, he definitely scored more.
He did definitely score more. He scored 8 goals. I reckon he scored 5 headers, to be honest, in
Yeah.
that. So, well done, CJ. CJ is 1-0 up.
I
Guy.
wish I'd got that
So we
one.
go from to be honest, as I read it out, I was like, oh no, yeah, that is definitely higher.
Wasn't he our top goal
That's the
scorer?
luck of the draw. It was, yeah. Guy, you're higher or lower than 8 goals scored by Tyler Corden is Matthew Barnes Homer, 2015-16 season. He was our number
Uh,
9, you know?
I'm so can I remember something from 10 years ago, let alone 2 years ago? Okay, I'm going to go 2015-16 lower.
You're correct. You're correct. I mean, he didn't have a bad record, to be fair. I think he made
It's just the
11
team.
appearances, but he scored 5 goals.
Christ, we had some leaky years, didn't we?
I'm just thinking, did we do well that season or not?
Okay, so it's 1-1. I realise I haven't got a tiebreaker, but screw it. CJ, Jim Stevenson, who was on loan in 2015, and then we signed him for the 15-16 season. There's a bit of a theme here because we were obsessing over the
Over the good
early
time.
years. He made 59 appearances. Did he score more or less than 5 goals for Aldershot Town?
Less.
Jim Stevenson scored 9 goals for Aldershot. I mean, most famously remembered for hoofing a penalty over the East Bank somehow. I can't remember what game that was. I think we struggled to a draw at home and we were struggling. Okay, so that was 9 goals, Guy. You can steal it with this. Brett Williams in his second season, not his first, in his second season, which was 2014-15. How many goals, or not how many goals, was it higher or lower than 9 scored by Jim Stevenson?
Lower.
It's incorrect. He scored 15 that season. After he scored 24 in the league the year before, and he only scored 15 the next season. Which in my head he had 2 20-goal a seasons.
Yeah, I thought that.
But he didn't.
Oh well.
Yeah.
Never mind. Honours even.
Never mind. Oh, go on.
No, it's fine.
No, come on.
I was just gonna
That's
say,
so important.
I mean, I quite liked having the status of sort of podcast host from furthest away, but it's only Europe for me, isn't it? So you can't get much further than New Zealand. Otherwise, you start coming back on yourself, don't you?
Yeah. I'm going to Australia for Christmas, and even that's still not further enough away to be
No.
to beat CJ. So.